Why is it said that the most terrifying period in the history of the Earth? It wasn't the extinction of the dinosaurs. It wasn't an ice age. But this era that even has a name like hell, where the ocean is boiling magma. Iron feather under the sky. There are only 6 dreadful hours in a day. Any living thing vaporizes in 0.1 second. It's called the churning drum charm. One Earth. The dark ages that trembled when it rang. 4.60 billion years ago, the newly born Earth is not a blue planet at all. It's a red ball of fire. Surface temperatures up to 1,200 degrees Celsius, hotter than lava. The entire planet is a sea of tumbling lava. And here's what's even scarier. Every few minutes, an asteroid fell from the sky. The largest impact. It knocked the Earth out of a moon. The power of that collision, equivalent to 100 million a Hiroshima atomic bomb, exploded at the same time. The Earth was torn apart in an instant. Fragments fly into space, finally condensed into the moon we see. And on the Earth of the Mongolian curse, there's no solid land. It's not solid ground under your feet. It's an ocean of hot magma hundreds of kilometers deep. This magma ocean, like a pot of boiling soup that never stops. The temperature is maintained between 1,200 and 1,700 degrees Celsius. At this temperature, iron flows like water. The rocks will melt like cream. And here's what's even scarier. The depths of this magma ocean. It has reached an astonishing 1,000 kilometers. It's like stacking up 3 MTs, Everest. All sink into this sea of fire. But that's not the worst part. Look up at the sky. You will find an even more terrifying sight. The atmosphere was filled with toxic gases. We have 10,000 times more CO2 than we have today. There's tons of methane, ammonia and hydrogen sulfide. These gases mix together. A thick layer of orange-red clouds formed, shrouded the entire planet in one, under the eerie light. And because the Earth rotates so fast, a day is only 6 hours long. This means that the sun rises every 3 hours, fall again. The frequency of day and night is 4 times what it is now. In this hellish world, lightning is 100 times stronger than it is now. Thunder can shatter rocks. Volcanic eruptions are even more commonplace. On average, there are dozens of volcanoes every hour. Simultaneous eruption, spraying hot lava and toxic gases into the air. Imagine that. Standing on such an Earth, you will experience ultra-high heat roasting at the same time, toxic gas erosion, violent lightning strike, and constant ground shaking. This is a true portrayal of hell. However, the real disaster has only just begun. Due to the early solar system, in a state of chaos, lots of asteroids, comet, rampage through space with other celestial debris. They're like cannonballs out of control, crashing into the young Earth day and night. According to scientists' research, in the early days of Minghu Mantra, it happens on average about once every 100 years. A powerful impact capable of destroying entire continents. Each impact releases the equivalent of millions of nuclear bombs went off simultaneously. These impacts do more than just destroy. Unimaginable heat. Every time an asteroid 10 kilometers in diameter, hitting the Earth at 20 kilometers per second, the temperature of the impact point will instantly soaring to tens of thousands of degrees Celsius, hotter than the surface of the sun. The whole Earth will shake violently. The resulting shock wave can travel all over the planet, trigger a global earthquake and tsunami. But here's the irony. These tsunamis are not waves. It's thousands of meters of waves along the river. They swept the surface, devour everything. There's a huge cloud of dust. Clouds cover the sky. These dust clouds contain extensive rock fragments, metal particles, and toxic substances. They're suspended in the atmosphere, turning an already dark sky even darker. sometimes a particularly violent impact. It would trap the entire planet for months, even years of darkness. But even in the dark, the temperature on the ground is still terrifying because of the heat accumulated inside the Earth. Too much, in such an extremely harsh environment. An unexpected twist occurs. About 4.40 billion years ago, comets made of sailors began to hit the Earth frequently. These comets are coming from the edge of the solar system, carrying vast amounts of frozen water. They are more than 6 per hour. An amazing speed of 10,000 kilometers. Hit the Earth's surface. These sailors were exposed to the extreme temperatures created by the impact. It's too late to melt into a liquid. It's direct vaporization. In an instant, billions of tons of water vapor soared into the sky, formed a huge mushroom cloud. This water vapor rises rapidly into the sky, and an atmosphere already filled with toxic gases. Mix it together. You think the arrival of water, will it bring hope to the Earth? Quite the contrary. He made the area even crazier. Because this water vapor rises into the sky, encounter a relatively cooled atmosphere, start cooling condensation. So the most spectacular in the history of the Earth, the most terrifying rainfall. It's about to begin. How exaggerated is this rain? He's been down for millions of years, maybe even as long as 10 million years. Continuous torrential rain. It pours down 24 hours a day. For millions of years. What is this concept? The entire history of human civilization. It's only been a few thousand years, but what's even scarier is, this rain is no ordinary rain. It's extremely corrosive acid rain. Because this rainwater is falling, water droplets interact with sulfur dioxide in the atmosphere. Hydrogen sulfide and other toxic gases undergo chemical reactions. It also absorbs the dust from asteroid impacts, metal particles, and other chemicals in the cloud. These substances mix together, forming a strong acid solution with an extremely low pH. This acid is corrosive, more than the acids produced by modern industrial pollution. 100 times stronger. If you think these acids will build up into puddles, that would be a big mistake, because the surface temperature at this time is too hot, up to hundreds of degrees Celsius. When acid rain falls on the hot surface, they make loud noises. Instant heat evaporation becomes water vapor again and rises to the sky, then cool down at high altitude. Condensed into raindrops, land again, evaporate again, and it happens over and over again. It's a perpetual cycle of terror. Imagine this image above the scalding surface. Sour fish pours down. Every drop of rain falls to the ground, will stir up a cloud of white steam. The entire planet, blanketed by a thick layer of water vapor and acid rain. Visibility is almost zero. The pungent smell of sulfur and acidity filled the air. Thunder and lightning flickered wildly in the clouds, illuminated this chaotic world. This is the daily scene of the Mongolian curse Earth. Then this nightmare rain. When will it stop? There is only one answer: cool the Earth. But how to give a surface temperature as high as hundreds of degrees Celsius of planet cooling? It takes time. It takes a long and desperate time. Scientists estimate to make the surface temperature descending to water can stable in liquid form below 100 degrees Celsius. It will take at least a few million years. During this long cooling process, the Earth has undergone countless changes. The frequency of asteroid impacts is gradually decreasing. The intensity of the volcanic eruption is gradually decreasing. The crust begins to cool and hardens. Water vapor levels in the atmosphere are getting higher and the air pressure is getting higher, even reached the current Earth's atmospheric pressure. Dozens of times in this high-pressure environment, even if the temperature exceeds 100 degrees Celsius. Water can also exist in liquid form, finally. About 4 billion years ago, a historic moment has arrived. We're below the critical point. The acid rain that falls no longer evaporates instantly. It starts to settle on the surface. At first it was just a few puddles appear in lower ground. But as the rain continued, these puddles slowly expand, merge into a stream. Streams merge into rivers. The river eventually flows into the low-lying basin floor. These pooled bodies of water, although still acidic, the temperature is still high, but they are liquid water. They accumulate in low-lying areas. It gets bigger and bigger, deeper and deeper. Hundreds of thousands of years, millions of years have passed. The first true primitive on Earth. The ocean is finally formed. Emergence of pristine oceans marks the Earth's environment. Something fundamental has happened. The ocean begins to regulate the surface temperature. Absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Let the atmosphere gradually become thinner. Acid and acidity are also slowly decreasing because the acid is drunk by the seawater. But here's the thing. The ocean holds the potential for future life. Although the ocean temperature at this time is still as high as 70 to 80 degrees Celsius, almost boiling, the water is a cloudy brown or green, filled with various minerals and chemicals. But compared to the previous magma oceans, this is already heavenly progress. In the depths of this pristine ocean, in those areas known as black smoke, near the deep-sea hot night vents of onions, complex chemical reactions are taking place quietly. From now on, this once purgatory planet finally survived the darkest period of ancient mantras. After hundreds of millions of years after chaos and destruction, he is about to enter a whole new era, the primordial curse. A time when life is about to be born. And all this changes. It actually originated from the one that lasted for millions of years. Terrible rain, who would have thought? It was this acid rain that seemed to destroy everything. Finally brought the source of life to the earth. This may be the most amazing part of nature. After the most extreme destruction, the greatest creations often come. Why Venus and Earth? They're like twins. Similar in size, similar quality, but one is heaven. One is purgatory. The former Soviet Union launched 16 probes at him. They all died. The longest one lasted 127 minutes. They didn't crash, not lost contact. They're baked and squashed alive. Exquisite surface temperature up to 465 degrees, hotter than Mercury, the closest planet to the Sun. The atmosphere compacts 92 times as much as the Earth. It's like diving 900 meters to the bottom of the sea. I haven't had time to breathe yet. The bones are already broken, but the weirdest thing is not that. Scientists have discovered Venus is the only planet in the entire solar system. Reverse planet. The sun rises in the west, and he spins extremely slowly. One day is equal to 243 days on Earth. Longer than he went around the sun. So a day on Venus is longer than a year. However, 41 years ago, here used to be a blue ocean. The climate was pleasant and life might have existed. So here's the problem. What turned this heaven into hell? The answer lies deep beneath Venus. May 2024. Journal of Natural Astronomy published a discovery that shocked the scientific community. Venus is still erupting like crazy. Scientists analyzed more than 30 years ago the radar data into different areas. New lava flows were observed. And here's what's even scarier. They estimate Venus, up to 120 volcanic eruptions may occur each year. What does that mean? It means that Venus is not a dead planet. He is a boiling purgatory. Billions of years ago, the elaborate volcano began to erupt on a massive scale. Carbon dioxide is pouring into the atmosphere like crazy. Formed a toxic cloud up to 19 kilometers thick. This layer of clouds is like a heavy quilt. Lock in the heat of the sun. It's getting hotter and hotter. The oceans are evaporating. Water vapor is a more potent greenhouse gas. It sends the temperature soaring further. Finally, the entire planet's moisture is lost in space. Here it is. Scientists call the runaway greenhouse effect. And Venus, the worst victims of this disaster. But the Soviets didn't believe in evil. Since 1961, they were possessed. Crazy throwing probes at this hell star. At that time, the space race is in a life and death phase. America was busy landing on. What about the Soviet Union? They went directly to the planet least suitable for life. The first probe, Venus 1, lost contact for more than a month after launch, like a piece of scrap metal floating forever in the universe. The second lost contact. The third one hit directly. Become the first in history, man-made objects that come into contact with other planets. But before he could send back any useful data, completely freezes. Someone else would have given up long ago. But the more the Soviet Union failed, the more excited it became. They upgrade the design once. Every time the probe burns down. Blast and squash. It's like adding fuel to the fire. Let their frenzy burn even more. This obsession is completely beyond everyone's comprehension. In 1967, the turnaround came. Venus 4 has smashed into the atmosphere of Venus. For the first time, it came back from the reality of another planet. The data gave everyone a cold breath. The atmosphere is 90 times denser than Earth's. Temperatures up to 465 degrees Celsius. It's almost entirely carbon dioxide. There are also toxic clouds of sulfuric acid floating. 93 minutes later, Venus 4 was crushed alive. He used his death to tell humanity, this is not hell. It's a deluxe enhanced version of hell. But the Soviets were even crazier in 1970. Venus 7 has performed an unprecedented maneuver. He's going to land on Venus alive. Engineers know that parachutes are useless. Let's design the detector as a steel monster that can't be broken. On December 15th, he landed successfully. Although the impact force was too great, it fell directly. The antenna is also crooked, but he persisted for 23 minutes. Returned key data. Humans landed successfully on another world for the first time. 1975. Venus 9 and Venus 10 both set out. This time, they brought back the first batch in human history. Real photos from the surface of another planet. The picture sends a chill down your spine. Sharp broken rocks all over the place. Like being torn apart by cohesion. The sky is orange. The air hangs over everything like a layer of poison. No life. No water, no wind. There is only one four-season world that is baked and shiny. But the most shocking thing was still to come in 1982. Venus 13 landed in that inferno. This was the most powerful Venus lander ever built. It was designed to, the steel monster that even hell can't tear apart. He was originally designed to live only 32 minutes, but it lasted 127 minutes. A human spacecraft set a new record on Venus, the most working hours long record. In these 127 minutes, the first color photograph of the surface of Venus was taken. Let's see brown rocks and orange sky. He also analyzed the soil composition, confirmed that Venus is mainly composed of basalt and nail polish, copper and other elements, proved that there has been intense volcanic activity here. And here's what's even scarier. He also recorded the sounds of the surface of Venus. It's a depression. A deep, dark roar. Like a beast breathing. Venus' atmosphere is too dense. The wind sounds like an echo from the depths of hell. Venus 14 also landed successfully 4 days later. Persisted for almost an hour. These detectors supported the Soviet Union for more than 20 years, all obsession and ambition. After 1989, the collapse of the Soviet Union, the world they've been obsessed with for 30 years, sank into the fog again. But the story doesn't end there. Now, a new round of careful exploration is ready to go. NASA is developing two heavyweight missions. Da Vinci and Truth. It is planned to launch around 2031. The Da Vinci will release a descent probe straight into Venus' deadly atmosphere, looking for evidence that this planet once had oceans. He expected to be in that hellish environment. Hold on for an hour, and they get squashed. Truth. It will use radar to map more than 98% of Venus. Surface map. It's 100 times more accurate than the Magellan was 30 years ago. The European Space Agency's prospect. It will also depart in 2031, and our country sampled the atmosphere of Venus back. Included in the plan for 2028 to 2035. Why is the whole world staring at this hell? Because of the tragedy of Venus. Could be the future of the Earth. The same volume. The same quality. One became the cradle of life. A fiery purgatory. The gap between them, it's just a runaway greenhouse effect. Venus uses its own death. Taught the Earth the heaviest lesson. If we don't protect this blue planet, Venus today may be Earth's tomorrow.